Well, I think we have to look at the larger picture. Look, we are dealing here with a major challenge, and that is the Iranian hegemonic vision, what the Jordanian king called the Iranian or the Shiite crescent. Iran is trying to position itself as the dominant power in the Middle East, and there are three major pillars that the Iranian hegemonic vision is based upon. One, it's the nuclear program. The other one is the missile program. And the third one is the network of proxies, armed proxies, militias that Iran scattered in different parts of the Middle East. Now, there are different arenas of interest for the Iranians in that context. For example, the corridor, the land corridor that connects from Iran, crossing through Iraq, and then entering to Syria and Lebanon. This is one major focal arena. The second one are the naval roads, which are basically two major arenas. One is the Gulf of Oman, for example, where the attack took place, and the other one is the Red Sea. And actually what we saw for the last couple of years, and unfortunately it wasn't surprising for me, to me at least, is that Iran was boosting its attacks on those arenas, on those different locations, as part of its plan to position itself as the superpower in the Middle East.
But Avi, you say Iran was doing this? I thought they usually use proxies.
This is one of their pillars. They are using proxies. They are also developing the missile program, and obviously they are developing the nuclear program. But we also have to remember, it's Iran already attacked directly Israel in 2018 from Syria.
Right.
So normally Iran is using proxies to that end, but in 2018, the Iranians felt powerful enough to launch a direct drone attack on Israel from Syria.
Before we get into the bigger picture, well, let's look for a second just at this incident with the Israeli-owned boat. It didn't sink it. Was it even attempted to sink it, or was it a message?
To the best of my understanding, it was a message. The way it was done, I mean, on both sides of the boat, above the water line, apparently not so, massive explosion to the point it could sink the ship. But I would say this is clearly a message, an Iranian message. The Iranian actually, to make a long story short, the Iranian were unfortunately able to hold not only the region hostage, now they're holding the world hostage, and this is a reality that we have to face.
What about the American attack that happened over the weekend in eastern Syria?
Interesting signal. It is a signal that has actually a couple of addresses. One is Iran. I mean, the American administration actually signaling the Iranians saying, you are not going to be immune. Even if you are going to use proxies to attack U.S. interests in the region, it doesn't mean that you are going to be automatically immune. You are not immune, which is for itself a significant and positive message. The other message is not less important, is for U.S. strategic allies in the Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, like the United Arab Emirates, like Israel. There has been a concern with the change of administration in the States. There has been concern among those factors, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, that actually the Biden administration is going to be a duplication of Obama's administration. Couple of things that the administration has done up until before the attack kind of like deepen the concern. For example, the decision of the administration not to label the Houthis as a terror organization, and the self-restraint of the American administration following a couple of attacks particularly on American targets in Iraq. So the attack last Thursday night was also an American signal to its partners in the region, Biden is basically saying to them, look, I'm not Obama. And this is something that I can tell you that, at least from that perspective, the U.S. allies in the region are quite satisfied with.
But then, over the weekend, it sort of gives the Riyadh the cold shoulder. They're saying they're going to be looking at the any kind of arms deals to Saudi Arabia. We have the whole issue with the slain journalist.
Yes, I would look at that from a different lenses. Look, Biden administration has to navigate between two inner powers within the administration that are pulling to different sides. You got the what I call the real politics camp. Biden is coming from the camp of real politics, the camp that is actually looking for, first and foremost, to secure U.S. Strategic interest worldwide. And then there is another camp that we are familiar with, and that is what I call the ideal camp. This is the camp mostly represented by the more, I would say, leftist to progressive wing within the Democratic Party. They are obviously emphasizing the whole issue of human rights, civil rights, and so on and so on. And they are putting a lot of pressure on the administration to prioritize that agenda. Now, Biden has to maneuver between those two things. And actually, in the end of the day, when you look at the bottom line of this whole story, the report that was published by the United States of America, the phone call between Biden and the subtext messages that were passed between the side, I would say that it seems to me like this is something that is going to be contained. I don't think that it's going to be further evolved. And I think that in a way you could look at this, I wouldn't say lip service that Biden is doing, because it is something that Biden is also committed to. But I would say that Biden will not take it too far. In the end of the day, Biden will prioritize real politics over ideal politics.
Avi, let me ask you about going back to the incident with the Israeli-owned boat and Israeli defense officials, even the chief of staff today saying is another reminder that Iran is spreading terror. Could there be some kind of Israeli retaliation for something so public like this?
I would be surprised if there will be no retaliation.